Peace. I just want to go over a few things. In the year 10,920 in the Asiatic calendar, the birth of a half-original man named Musa came into existence. Musa means the great civilizer. The reason they called him half-original is because he only had half the knowledge of the original man. I'm going to read some of this plus degree on it. It says, when this half-original man was born, the pigmentation of the skin was like that of an albino, and because of his complexion, and because of the complexion of his skin, it enabled him to work and later on civilize the devil, which Yaqub had grafted. The beastful life he had grafted and ran him into the caves of West Asia, as they now call it Europe, or General Monk ran him into the caves of West Asia, as they now call it Europe. It says that the first 40 years of Musa's life was spent in the wilderness without having any knowledge of what he was to do later on in life. When he turned 40 years old, he went among the original people to study the original man's way of life. In the year 11,000, which was the end of Musa's second 40 years, he had spent his second period of life, which was from 40 to 80, among the original people, and was awakened to the work that he was supposed to fulfill. Then it goes on to say he went to the land, he went into the caves so he could clean up the European, so that they could live a respectable life. He was considered half original man because he only had half the knowledge of the original man, right? So I'm just letting you see how them old plus degrees used to look. And Yaqub had taught them that they lived a trick knowledge. Yaqub had taught them trick knowledge and how to master the original man. Gave them 6,000 years to rule. Right? So Musa began the plan of grafting. What happened was, let me just give it to you right quick. What happened was, when Musa got up there into the caves, he noticed that he couldn't really get to the Europeans to educate them and enlighten them on things that he needed to enlighten them on, because it was so full of filth and shit like that. Then it goes on into the jackal. They used the jackal to guard the front of their caves, and also when the men would be out hunting, they might have to go away for a long time to hunt because they had wiped out all the animals in the immediate area, so they had to go out further because the animals was getting away from them. You know how they do. They like to make things extinct. So anyway, long story short, what happened was the caveman would be gone for a long time, and so in that way, his woman might get, sexually stimulated and not have anybody there to stimulate her. So she would allow the jackal to lick her power you, and that way she could get a sensation from that. And then when the European would come back, he saw his dog or his jackal licking her private parts, and so he started emulating the jackal, and he started doing that too to turn her on. But anyway, what happened was when Musa was trying to clean up the caves, he sent dogs in, and they weren't able to clean it up. And then he sent cats in, they weren't able to clean it up. Then he sent mice or rats and shit like that, and they weren't able to clean it up. So then he goes on to say that Musa began the plan of grafting the genes of the cats and the rats and the dog, and he separated them and he spliced them and he put them together, and he came up with a pig, or something similar to a pig, a hog, or whatever the case may be, because that's why they say rat, cat, and dog is a pig. And then he used that animal to clean up the caves of West Asia, as they now call it Europe, so he could get in there and teach them. Then he had to do something else. He had to lure. He lured all the elders of those tribes. He lured them over to the end of the cliffs, and he set him up to go over there so he could blow them up. He killed them all, blew them up off the side of the mountain, so that part of the mountain fell on top of them. And he did that so that he could get to the young ones, so he could re-educate the young ones and teach them what he wanted them to learn. And that's just a little history on Yaqub. So I figure I'd give y'all a little of that and let you get a good look at this plus degree. Okay, that's how I got it. You can see 20 years of him living in the caves, right? In the year 10,920. That way, I'm going to run over it right quick like that. So that way, if you take your channel and you, see, I'm making it so you can read it. If you take your channel and you pause it, you'll be able to read most of this yourself. And then you can make copies. You can make copies and shit like that. Here is the last page. And this is the history on Musa as taught from the 5% Nation. Let you get a little look at that. It seems like it's pretty good reading, because look, I read that Musa was a prophet and a great civilizer, because see, some of it's taught right there. The devil came out. I just want you to see that, though, so you can see, how these lessons came out back in the days. All right, peace.